So I have the pleasure of introducing you to a friend and a colleague, RJ Jackson, the courage giver. RJ, I had the opportunity to first meet RJ on Anchor. And she talked about this thing called a cup of courage. And I was like, what? That sounds really interesting. And at the same time, really intriguing. And then I had the opportunity to run into RJ on Facebook. And I saw, RJ, I saw this presentation you did in front of a group of, I think it was a group of women, was it?
It was actually a group, but not necessarily a group of women. It was a group for the mayor's brunch that she has on a monthly basis. And she invited me to come and be the keynote speaker for the breakfast, or for the brunch, actually, that's what it was.
Nice. And I was just really impressed by your presence, as well as, you know, the quality of your message, and not only the quality of your message, but as well how you're able to engage and get the audience to participate. And so one of the things I've learned about RJ is she has kind of these three themes of things that she likes to talk about, and things that, you know, I'm looking at myself saying, I need more of this. And so the three things are confidence, courage, and vision. And so RJ, I just want to get right into it here. And, you know, it's easy to, you know, to say to people, oh, just have courage, and it's a fundamental, essential piece of encouragement that we receive in life. And yet, in a lot of ways, it can make absolutely no sense if you feel like you're not feeling confident either in the moment, or you don't generally think of yourself as a confident person. Actually, I remember a time shortly after my father died, my mother told me that my father and her were talking, and my father was telling her, I wish I had Greg's confidence. He was speaking of me, and I was thinking, I have confidence? And so I didn't even know that I had confidence. So, I guess, how does one get there, and how does one build confidence in what if they don't feel like they have any?
That's a great question, Greg. And let me first start by just saying thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to actually do what I love, because I love what I do. And that is helping people understand, number one, there's greatness inside of them. And because there's greatness inside of them, their life matters, and they do not have to live where they're dying, and they certainly don't have to die where they're living. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to fill someone else's cup with courage. I appreciate that. And as we talk about confidence, it's important to understand that confidence, courage, vision, they all work together. And it's important to know, what is confidence? I mean, seriously, it's something you hear all the time. Have confidence. Believe that you can do it. Well, what is it? First of all, we really need to understand that it's essential. It is an essential part of humanity. We cannot survive, let alone thrive, without confidence. Confidence is a combination of self-efficiency and self-esteem. And the truth be told, Greg, it is an internal sense or belief that we can accomplish a variety of tasks or a goal throughout our life. It's an ability to understand that we deserve to be happy. And if we don't believe that, if we don't sense that, if that is not in our innermost being, then instead of living, we will merely exist. We will not live our best life.
Oh boy, the world needs to hear this.
Oh boy.
You go, girl.
It's so true, because you know what? It's really true, because the truth is, Greg, we treat people based on how we feel. And if we feel bad, we're going to treat people bad. If we feel good, we're going to treat people good. And when we talk about and determine how we feel, it starts with how we feel about ourselves. And let me tell you something, because you asked a very important question. You said, okay, well, how does one come into knowing this feeling about who they are from the inside out? Where does this sense of confidence come from? And that's a really great question. And I know I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to give you the sweet taste version, okay, where I can't go into it in depth, but I can give you just a taste of knowing where does it come from.
Cool.
Most of our confidence is really established, number one, in the beginning when we were created, and how we feel about who we are when we don't really even know who we are, because really it's something that God put inside of us. But what happens as we go throughout our life, even as a toddler, we're told things like, no, don't do that. Or we're told like, no, you can't touch that. Or here, let me help you because you can't do that yet. And so very young in life, our confidence, our self-belief in our ability to do something is hammered on. And we don't even realize it's already being beat down. And then we go to school and our friends beat it down and our teacher says, this is sloppy, do it over. So it comes mostly not from who we are, but from our environment. Our environment plays a very important role. The people in our lives play a very important role in our confidence. And so it's been torn down, it's been beaten up, and we have to be the ones who fight for who we are. We have to be willing to say, hey, I can do this. On the same token, Greg, as people are tearing us down, there are also people in our lives who are building us up. There are people who are saying, you can do it. Good job. Oh, I like that picture. It's so creative. Tell me about it. Versus, what is that? And so we are surrounded by people who will build us up. And so there again lies a choice that we have to make. Are we going to listen more to the people who are building us up or the people who are tearing us down? Because whatever we listen to and whatever we believe, that becomes the foundation for who we are and how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah.
So if I may, let me tell you a really quick story about myself and confidence and literally how people play a role. As I was growing up, I was a very quiet young lady. I did everything that I felt my dad would do or could do. In other words, I was a daddy's girl. And if daddy didn't go, well, neither did I. I just wasn't having it because he was like my shield and my protector, right? Because I didn't believe that I could do much. I didn't believe that I deserved much. I thought because people made fun of me because I wore glasses that I wasn't good enough. I didn't do well in school because I couldn't see the board. I wasn't smart enough. I was taller than most of the kids my age, so I was too tall. I was a misfit. So I had all these negative thoughts and beliefs about who I was. But one day, I was in school, and I was in high school, actually. And while I was in high school, a teacher came to the girls' locker room because I went to an all-girls school. And this particular teacher was really unique. I went to an all-girls Catholic school where all my teachers wore the big black dresses and the big black hats and all that uniform stuff. But this one teacher, her name was Sister Marge, she would come in class, Greg, every day with a mini skirt, high heel boots, and just throwing her little blonde hair around because she knew who she was. And she did not allow what the system said to define her. And so one day, she came down to the locker room, and I always thought she was crazy because in the middle of class, she would lift up the windows and it'd be snowing. And we go, Sister Marge, it's snowing. She says, I know, it'll help you learn better. I'm like, lady, you're crazy. But when she came down to that girls' locker room, I knew she was crazy because she came down there and she marched herself right over to me. And she says, I want to see you in my office on Monday after school. And I looked at her, I said, lady, you know you're crazy. I don't even like seeing you during school. So you think I'm going to come and see you after school? It is not going to happen. Literally, I told her, it is not going to happen. And she looked at me and she said, all right, fine. And she just walked away. And I was like, wait a minute. She just finished saying she wanted to see me. She also said she cared and she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself and she wanted to help me. But then she turned around and said, fine, okay. Well, I was furious because she didn't make me conform. She
Ooh.
gave me a choice. So on Monday after school, I went right to her and I said, why did you do that? You told me you cared, you had the power and the authority to make me come, and you just said, fine, okay. And she taught me a very important lesson, one which I'd love to share with you when it comes to confidence. She said, Arjun, life is about choices. And you've got to choose which battle you're going to fight, and you have to choose what decision you're going to make. She said, if you make a good choice, you get a good consequence. If you make a bad choice, you get a bad consequence, but the choice is yours. Well, I want you to know that really was impactful in my life. And that Monday afternoon, I chose to stay with Sister Marge. And I chose to get the help that she was offering me. But here's the help that she gave me as my math teacher. I was failing her class. But for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, we never talked about math. We only talked about my story and who I was. And we talked about me as a person. And as a result, I'm promising you, my confidence started going up, my grades started changing, and I started doing well. Why? Because one person chose to believe in me, which internally helped me believe in myself. Because life is about choices. And I chose to believe what she was saying about me because she invested in me. She spent time with me and she gave me empowerment. I chose to believe what she was saying versus what everybody else was saying. And that built my confidence from the inside out, from the inside, where life begins, in the center, in the heart. And that's where confidence comes from. And that, my friend, is how we get what we think we don't have. Because we all have it. It's just a matter of building on it in a positive way.
Wow. What a powerful story. So then you're suggesting that so it sounds like she worked on your personal confidence, which then helped you to learn your mathematics.
It not only helped me learn my mathematics, but it gave me the ability to stop saying I wasn't good at math and believe that I was good at it. And if I wanted to get better, it had nothing to do with who I was. It had to do with what I did, which was to practice. And because I believed as I practiced, I would get better, which is the confidence, I did practice. But if we don't believe we'll get better, we won't practice because the confidence is missing. And so the skill does not improve. Math was the skill.
Right. Wow. So yeah, it's so interesting because I mean, practice is so important, isn't it? When you come to think of it, never really, well, I have thought about this before, but practice, we helps us grow that skill. And then through the practice, we become confident? Or are you saying that fundamentally we have that confidence, we just need to connect to it? Or is it both?
We have that confidence and we need to connect with it. And I love how you said practice is important because the same thing applies when we're building our confidence. We need to practice saying positive things and getting rid of the negative thoughts that we have identified ourselves with. We have to get rid of those negative things that people have said to us. And it takes practice to do that because once you put a record on and you play it, it just plays until you turn it off. And you have to do something about it. And that's what the practice is. So when the bird comes to your mind and says, oh, you're a terrible mom, you're a terrible dad, then what's going to happen is the record is going to play of the memory of you doing negative things that says you're terrible. Well, you've got to take the needle off the record. Okay. You've got to say, wait, no, I'm going to change this. And that's going to take practice.
Yeah.
You've got to say, no, I made a mistake, but I'm a good mom. And here's why I'm a good mom. And then you got to practice saying positive things. And for some people, that's so challenging to do. to say positive when all they know is so much negativity? Because that's how they've been told. That's how they've been fed.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is a good time to kind of segue into courage. And in terms of this whole, the fact that we're how do, what are some things, I know you work with people as a personal and professional development courage coach. And I heard you say that there's 3 steps that you encourage people to take in order to live a life of courage. What would those be?
That's a great question, and it's a great time to lead into courage, Greg, because in order to have confidence, you got to understand what courage is. Because as I just finished saying, you got to fight through the world of negativity and the things you've been told, the pain of your past, which is sometimes so comfortable, so easy to live in, because at least you're familiar with it and you know it and you understand it, even when it's painful. It's even more painful to step out of that into the unknown. And what courage is being afraid to step out of that comfort zone, but stepping out anyway. Courage is understanding that fear is robbing you from living your best life. And so, yes, there are 3 things I suggest that you take. Number 1 is to refuse to conform.
Ooh.
And what I mean by refusing to conform, well, if everybody is doing it, it's comfortable. But when you have courage, you go, wait, I don't have to conform. This is who I am. And that's where that confidence kicks in. And you go, I don't need to conform to that.
Okay.
I'm going to be different. I'm going to have the courage to step outside the box and to live my best self. And it takes courage not to conform. The average person conforms. Successful people have courage. So that's number 1, refuse to conform. Number 2 is continue to put one foot in front of the other. In other words, take a faith walk. Because when you take a faith walk, you don't know what's going to happen, but you believe. And let's go back to what we said confidence is. Confidence is a believing from the innermost part of your being that you deserve to be successful. If you're going to have courage, you have got to believe. In other words, you've got to keep stepping even though you don't know the path where you're going. You just know the destination. You don't know how you're going to get there, but that's okay. So refuse to conform. Take one foot and put it in front of the other. In other words, take a step of faith or a walk of faith. And number 3, in order to use your courage to the fullest, you have got to be willing to be a risk taker. You've got to take a risk. You've got to say, oh my gosh, this is scary. This don't look right. This don't seem right. But I believe that there's something on the other side of this wall for me. And you know what? I'm going to climb up here and peek over. Oh, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to get on top and I'm going to look over. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to climb this wall and get on the other side. That's taking a risk. And when we take risks, when we take walks of faith, and when we refuse to conform, then we're able to live out our best life. Let me tell you what happened as a result, if I may, of going to see Sister Marge that particular Monday after school, how it allowed me to propel my greatness by taking that step of faith, by refusing to conform, and by taking a risk.
Okay.
The first thing I did was to take a risk and go see her, because that was scary. Going to see my teacher, who I was failing her class, and going to see her and not knowing where it was going to lead, and already not feeling my best self, that was a risk right there. Because what if I went and nothing changed? What if I went and she got upset with me because I wasn't getting the solution? What if It just didn't work. And so many times in life, Greg, we ask ourselves, what if? And we die under the what if. We never take that next step, which is a walk of faith to say, I don't know, but what if I don't go?
Right.
We never go because we're afraid of the what if. So instead of taking the bus downtown to the mall to look at the cute boys after school, which we normally did, remember I shared with you, I went to an all-girls school. So after school, it was important to go see what the boys look like, okay? But instead of getting on the bus, going down to the mall to see what the boys look like, I walked that walk of faith to take a risk to see what Sister Marge had to say, what she wanted to do, and what was my role in the partnership. I took that walk to her office every day after school, starting on that Monday. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I didn't even like school, by the way. But here I am taking a walk of faith after school, staying after, going to her office. And then I refused to conform. I told you, all my friends were going down to the mall to look at the cute boys. And I had to say, I'm not going. I'm going to see Sister Marge.
Right.
And as a result, as I shared with you earlier, everything started changing. I started getting great grades. I had always told my mom, I am not going to college. You can't make me. I'm not going. When I'm done here, I'm finished. I hate school. But after going to see Sister Marge, I had this urge and this desire to go to college. And not only did I fulfill that urge and that desire to go to college, I had a desire to complete it. And I used my courage. And it's another story, and it's a longer story, so I have to tell you that one another time. But I just want you to know I did go to college, and I was the first one in my family to graduate from college.
Yay! Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm guessing. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm guessing in order to do that, you need to have some kind of a vision. Because you talk about it often, and you say vision has two eyes. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that because, how does your message of vision having two eyes, how's that going to inspire me and help me live my best life?
Wow. What an awesome story that really allows me to speak even more so from my heart. One of the things I shared with you a little bit earlier, Greg, is that as I was growing up, a part of my confidence came from my lack of confidence, or my negative sense of confidence came from the tools that I had to wear in order to see. And they are called glasses, as we all know.
Right.
But my glasses were called Coca-Cola bottles. Because that's what the kids called them. And that's what they used to make fun of me. And that's what they used to shame me and to tell me I wasn't good enough. And as a result, having to wear those is actually what kept me from seeing the board, which kept me from doing well in school, which kept me from feeling good about myself. Although my glasses were thick as can be, I still couldn't see. And I couldn't see, and my parents didn't know this at the time. It took some years before we actually came to the conclusion, which actually I was a senior in high school when we figured it out, but I had a rare eye disease. A rare eye disease called keratoconus. And with keratoconus, it means you have no focus in your eyes.
Right.
And so many people, Greg, live their life the same way. They have no focus in their life. They don't know what to do. They've got all this clutter around them, and they have no sense of direction or no focus or nothing that they got their eyes on to say, this is what I'm going to accomplish. This is the direction in which I'm going to take. And so that leads me to remind people that vision has two eyes. And the first eye actually is intentional. And in life, we have to be intentional. We have to be focused. And when we're intentional in our relationships, we're intentional in our goal setting, we're intentional with our time. It means we have a direction and a purpose in which we're doing what we're doing. And because we are intentional, vision has two eyes. And when we're intentional, we inspire other people to live their best life. And believe it or not, we're created for connection. And so in order to connect, in order to help people live their best life, we've got to do our best. And in order to do our best, we've got to be intentional. And so as a result of having the rare eye disease, at one point the doctor said to me, the best we can do for you is to give you a seeing eye dog and a cane. And that's it. They promised me that within 10 years, I was going to be totally blind. Well, I need to just tell you, vision has two eyes. And that was about 20-something years ago. And I refused the dog, by the way. I refused to have the dog. Just today, I do have a cane, but it doesn't help me with my vision. It helps me with my walking as a result of a major car accident I was in. But because I have the belief that vision has two eyes, I've been very intentional about living life on purpose and inspiring other people to do the same thing. In spite of what I've gone through, in spite of what I live with, I know it's a part of the journey. And it's always my goal to be intentional in sharing that, to bring hope and possibility to other people. So when I talk about vision, I talk about having a focus and how important it is for people to be focused and not be scattered all over the place. Like with their wheels spinning but going nowhere.
Right.
And I know, Greg, I know people are tired of living such a way. People are really feeling there's more to life than this, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I want to say, yes, there is. There's more to life than what you seemingly see. So we got to learn to get beyond what we see and be intentional about living life on purpose.
Absolutely. So what's the other I in vision?
The other I was inspire. And so as I talked about living our best life, we inspire other people.
Okay.
And that takes us back. Remember, that takes us back to confidence. Because when we feel good, what do? We help other people feel good too. And when other people feel good, what do? They help other people feel good too. And so that's where we want to get to the point where people know who they are. They feel good about who they are. They don't allow their circumstances and their situations to dictate their destiny, but they already know that there's a journey of greatness prepared for them. And when that is true for people and the people that are around us, success is inevitable.
It's interesting because it's interesting how you're taking us now full circle. It sounds like, to me, confidence, courage, and vision is like this virtuous cycle of values, of choices, and of choosing to look at and live by three really very simple but powerful principles. Does that sound? They all fit together.
I love how you use the analogy of the circle because the circle is complete. And if you just take that circle and at the very top put a little triangle, do you know what you have?
No.
How about a heart?
Oh.
And the truth of the matter is life is meant to be lived from the heart, which is from the inside out. And when we live life from the inside out, we have confidence, we have courage, and we have vision. And we live our life, our best life possible. When you're missing any of those three things, then you're not living, you're merely existing. And I'm confident, again, that people are tired of existing, but they are not sure on what they need to live. And so look at those three things. And how can you build on them?
Yeah. And again, it's like as you begin to live it, it gives other people permission to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
I want what he's got. I want what she's got.
Absolutely.
You know, what I think is really exciting, and I think this has been quite the tour de force in a very short period of time. You've given people listening this to really some real nuggets about the fact that you know, you've spoken about confidence, how it comes from being created in the very beginning, and that, you know, we don't have to be defined by our environment and by what people say to us and the criticism, that we can believe from our very innermost part of ourselves, that to believe in me, to have confidence in me, and that, you know, the fact that we can refuse, you know, in terms of courage, we can refuse to conform, that we can take a faith walk and we can believe and take a step of faith and be a risk taker, and how that very nicely fits into being intentional in the direction, and having choosing a focus, being direct, choosing a direction, being intentional about it, and then inspiring, we're inspired to connect and have that hope and possibility, which brings us again back to confidence. So it becomes this virtual circle, like spiral of ever increasing energy, is what it strikes me as. And what a wonderful gift today, RJ. Thank you for sharing this. And I guess, you know, one of the questions I would have is, if people want to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to be in touch?
You know, Greg, let me first just say how amazingly awesome. You just totally summed that up. And let me just add this, if I may. When you talk about that circle and you talk about being complete, we are incomplete without other people. And so purpose is about something bigger than us. And it's not about us, it's about how we're to connect with other people. And that's why those three things complete that circle. And I love how you said that. Thank you so much for sharing that summary and wrapping it up. And I would be honored to help people live their best life, to live a life of confidence, courage, and vision, and to talk to them about the greatness that's inside of them, because the world awaits their greatness. And the one way that they can contact me is very simple. Just remember the Courage Giver. And they can find me online at www.thecouragegiver. They can find me on Anchor, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, The Courage Giver, because I want to give them the courage they need to succeed. And when I say give it to them, really all I'm saying is help them draw it out, because it's already inside of them, and I just need to help them find it.
Hey, do you mind if I ask another quick question? So what are the ways that you can help people? What kind of services do you offer? Just because I didn't ask you that.
Another great question from a great man. I appreciate that so much, my friend. When I work with people, I walk alongside of them either through life coaching, if they have an organization, a school, a church, or a facility in which they are looking for a speaker, they're going to do a retreat or a training or a conference, they would not want to miss the opportunity to invite me to come in and partner with them and woo their audience to their greatness. And if they're interested in working with me as a group, we have groups that they can work with, individuals, counseling, coaching we can do. And if they're interested in purchasing any of my products that they can take home and use at their convenience, they're able to do that too. And again, all of that information can be found on my website at www.thecouragegiver.com.
Fantastic. Wow. I'm going to go out and live my best life today. And I got some new standards to kind of reflect on. And thank you so much for sharing this. And I just want to encourage everyone that's listening to dare to take a bold step to reach out to RJ in some way. Number one, just to thank her for the significant value that she's delivered here today in this talk and in this quick little tour de force, so to speak. And as well, engage her in a conversation. See what might you create together with RJ? What might you become? What might you choose to do if you were able to consistently, through either life coaching or having her speak at your events, to step into your own virtuous circle? So thank you, RJ. Blessings to you.
Thank you, Greg. I can't thank you enough again for this opportunity to provide people with a cup of courage to remind them there's greatness inside of them. So let me just say to those of you who are listening, there's greatness inside of you, and the world awaits your greatness. Take a step today.